Record. Let's go.
I
Just the Thought Podcast. We are back with another one. Shout out to my co-host Andre, Tim Tech, and my homie Tion. They could not make the show today. Big ups to them. Much love, much respect. Guys, we have a special guest on the podcast today. Big ups, Jah David, two-time Grammy nominated bassist and producer. Also, the sound of Zion Kings.
Zion I Kings,
Um,
yeah, Zion I
Zion
Kings.
Kings, bro. Much respect, much love to you. How's everything, bro? And thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, man, I'm giving thanks. Everything's blessed, you know. Another day of life, so we have to give thanks. Rastafari. Blessings. How are you?
Everything is good, man. Back trying to get back from a crazy weekend. Just trying to stay focused, trying to get back on Monday's grind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But blessed to be here for another day.
true.
And thankful, man. Thank you. I'm thankful for your time, for real, bro. Thank
Yeah,
you for
man,
coming on
same
the
here.
show.
Thank you for reaching out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So you are a two-time nominated Grammy award. How does that feel, man? Because you put in a lot of work, but being a two-time Grammy nominated, how did that make you feel to get that type of recognition?
Yeah, it was like it was kind of surprising, to be honest. It was kind of surprising. It kind of hit me off guard. Um, I never really put much thought or effort into earning a nomination. We never got a Grammy. We just were nominated, but I never really put much thought into it. Um, and then when it snuck up and surprised us, obviously we were excited and thankful. Um, Put in a lot of years. That was the first time was 2014, I think. But by that point, we had already been doing it for like 13, 14 years, recording music and releasing. So it's a
Yeah,
blessing.
yeah,
It's a blessing
yeah,
to
man.
be
Hey,
recognized, man.
it's a blessing to it's a blessing to have your work be noticed, right? All that
Yeah,
work you put in, the blood, sweat, and tears. It's not a Grammy, but you know what? To be noticed, right, on that
yeah.
type of stage is a blessing itself.
It's a blessing, bro. It's a blessing. And
Yes.
especially because like I said, my team and I never make or made music with that intention, to like get some big recognition or achieve an award or anything like that. It's really just for Jah, really and truly. Like we are blessed with this talent that Jah blessed us with, and we just use it to our fullest potential. I try to our fullest potential, and spread the word and message of righteousness throughout the world. Was always our goal, not to be recognized or earn any kind of award. So to then get something when you're not attempting or even meditating on it was definitely a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So let me ask you this, man. I've been listening to your work. Really like the pieces you put out, especially the sounds. And I can tell by the sounds from what I heard, you are
Yeah.
heavily influenced. So let me ask you this: growing up, what was some of the music you first got into? How did your love for music come about growing up?
Yeah, music was always with that. Like it's always occupied a major part of my heart and mind. Like as long as I can remember, to be honest, I don't have any specific um, first memory of when I heard music or it clicked or anything like that. It's just always been. As long as I can remember any memories, I remember my love for music. You know, it the first cassette tape I remember making my grandmother buy me was Jimi Hendrix plays Monterey at the Monterey Jazz Festival. It was like 1967, and I was at like a department store. This must have been, I was probably five or so, 4 or 5. So that was like 1981 or 82 or so. I was in a department store looking at cassettes, and I saw
Yeah,
this. My grandmother had.
cassettes are not even heard of now.
I'm telling
Yeah,
you, bro, cassettes are like a thing of the past. So, and
yeah,
I have enough of them because that's how I first started consuming music were cassettes, you know. Um, and I went into the store, and my grandmother had given me the okay, like go into the music section and anything you like. If I'm gonna buy you a tape, you know what I'm saying? And I went in and I saw a picture of a guitar on fire. That was the cover of this particular album, Jimi Hendrix Plays Monterey. And it just struck me visually. I was like, look at this guitar on fire. I want that. I didn't even know who Jimi Hendrix was because he wasn't even on the cover. It was just literally a guitar on fire. That was the cover.
yeah. Jimi Hendrix, to me, man, Jimi Hendrix is not only an artist, right? I think he also introduced, like, I don't want to say, I think he also introduced people that never heard rock before. I think he introduced that sound of music to other people,
Yeah,
and
straight up.
it's a shame that we lost him so early because I think he was just getting into his rhythm, right? I think he was just finding his true love for music and what he put out to the world.
Real thing.
So yeah, man. So you being influenced by Jimmy, that's actually pretty dope to hear. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
because people that listen to Jimmy know that Jimmy put his heart, his soul into what he put out on stage, and he has one of the best guitar solos of all time.
Return.
I think he is obviously one of the best musicians that ever came to Earth, and I think it's unfortunate that we lost him so soon.
Yeah.
But what was one of those? What was a Jimi Hendrix song that really made you like get more into becoming a someone that plays the guitar? Because I saw that you played the guitar for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, what was the songs that influenced you to become what you are now?
Well, I just say all of them, to be honest, like all of them, because I got that album and I was like, yo, I need to play guitar. Like that was my next quest. Like after getting that and digesting it, I was like, yo, I need to play guitar. I need to figure this out. And my parents, um, when I was in third grade, they let me play the violin. That was my first instrument. They let me play it in school academically. And the whole premise was you can play violin, or if you play violin and you stick with it for at least a year, we'll buy you a guitar and then we can see what happens, kind of thing. And I stuck with it, and I got the guitar, and I never played violin again. I just went in the guitar heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was one of the first songs you learned on the guitar?
Um, was probably a Jimi Hendrix, and it was probably like I can't maybe Foxy Lady or something like that. To be
Foxy
honest,
Lady.
probably not
Okay.
though, because the chord is kind of the major chord is kind of it's a seventh and it's kind of hard. So I don't really remember, to be honest.
Okay. And do you come from like a musical background? How did you like did your mother, your father push you into music, or did it just come out of nowhere and you had to find your own love?
My mother played the piano, not professionally or anything like that, just as a hobby, something she liked to do. When I was really young, she stopped doing it after a while. But she was all right. She sounded like she could play it. She could read music and everything. My father wasn't musical, and no one pushed me into it. No, it was all self will.
It's all self-aware. And where do you get your sound from, man? Because you have multiple. Like I said, as I listen to your music, man, you have multiple sounds. Who influenced you when it comes to making music?
Oh man, the whole world of music. To
The
be
whole
honest,
world.
to be 100, like
Yeah.
now my music that I make is almost all reggae. So obviously it's Bob Marley,
Peter
Burning
Tosh.
Spear, Culture, Peter Tosh,
Inner
all the way
Circle.
up to Sizzla, Luciano, the whole
Yeah.
reggae, everything in reggae. From the beginning, even from ska totally, the Scatolites totally have touched me, and so I love all of that music. Um, but like hip hop, I was listening to hip hop from I was maybe 10, 9. So I went from like rock to hip hop, and then kind of back to rock with some reggae mixed in, and then just reggae. At a certain point in my life, at like 17 or so, I just locked off all hip hop, all rock and roll, all R&B, and just was really just listening to reggae. Like
Reggae. What made you do that transition? Like what made you just go from just reggae?
I would say Rastafari. I would have said Jah. I don't know, like discovering really the Almighty, and feeling like this is His music, kind of thing. Maybe I don't know. The message was so strong to me in that time. I was discovering myself and my own spirituality, and there's so much of it. Like reggae, historically, is so vast. There's so many albums that were created from like 66 or 7 or so straight up until now. I mean, so many, especially between like the late 60s up until the 90s. The amount of music that has been recorded and released and is out there for all of us to consume is overwhelming. So it's you can really get, like, once you really catch that vibe for reggae music, you can get lost in the catalog of reggae history for sure. You just get lost. All now, I still hear things all the time that I have never heard after all these years of listening, avidly and aggressively, and still all the time hear things from like the 70s and 80s that I've never heard. So.
Yeah, man. Right. And coming from myself, because I have Jamaican roots, right? I have a Jamaican background.
Right.
But I'll be honest with you, man. I didn't grow up listening to reggae. I grew up listening to dancehall. But
That's
I
because
didn't.
your parents didn't listen to reggae, or they did?
No, my dad was listening to reggae, but my also was during the '90s, like late '80s, early '90s. So that's when dancehall really took off.
Yeah.
And my dad was a dancer as well, so he danced
Oh, nice.
dancehall. So
Right.
he was pushing that on me and my brother growing up. So I didn't get into reggae until I went to university.
Okay.
And I of course there's some songs that were playing in my house, Bears Hammond,
Yeah.
Dennis Brown, Warrior King, right? These are some of the dudes that were playing in my house, but I wasn't really paying attention to reggae, right? And what the vibe of what is reggae all about. I did not paying attention to that until I got older.
Okay.
And to be honest, as I listen to reggae getting older now, right? I really truly believe that reggae is there's a lot of value to it, right? Not just the history, but the way it makes people feel, right?
Yeah.
It puts, no matter what you say, right? No matter what people say, like people think reggae is like hippie, whatever. No, it's not, right? It has more of a meaning to that. But I think what reggae can do that other genres can't, it can bring people together. All right,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
all
yeah.
cultures, right? There could be a German dude, there could be somebody from China, but it somehow brings people together,
Yeah, but
right?
it's
And
revolutionary music too. Like not, it's
exact, yeah,
revolutionary in that it brings people together, but it's revolutionary in that we're protesting Babylon, the system, oppression. You know what I'm
yes,
saying? Some serious, and it's by any means necessary. Really, I'm not saying like reggae promotes violence in any way, but reggae is not backing down. Reggae is not some like little shy away from issue and everything is okay type of genre. It's a protest and stand up for your right type of genre.
yes, yes, and
So
I
that's
think
really the foundation, you know.
yeah, and I also think that it's a right. You said it's and it also brings uh an aspect of life that we really need to touch upon, right? Because I think reggae, like I was saying to you, like reggae is very a deep. It's a deep connection, and I know most people that listen to reggae have. It's not just music with them. It's deeper. Like it's.
Yeah,
I've heard stories like, oh, I was when I started listening to reggae, I was in a bad place, but it took me out of a bad place. I kind of know myself more. I don't like listen. Hip hop is my favorite genre, but I don't think hip hop has the magic to do what reggae can do on that type of level. When it comes out to being at peace, finding yourself, understanding what life it should be about, I think reggae puts all that information out, and I think it's a unique genre. Like when I
yeah,
started getting more into it, I started learning more about myself as well, and
true.
I think it's necessary for this world, right? And I want to
Yeah.
ask you this question as I say that. What does reggae mean to you?
What does reggae mean to I? Well, like I said, it's a genre, it's a revolutionary genre that um, breaks down all barriers, spiritually, politically, um, because reggae doesn't shy away from people's issues. And when I say people, I'm talking firstly the black world, black people, black race, as they call it, or whatever, um, who have been the most oppressed, the most subjugated, systemically kept down, and this is a music that seeks to uplift this all of these people, and that's so important for the world. Like, His Majesty said, until Africa is free, the world won't be free, and it's like that also extends to the whole diaspora of African people. Like the whole of the African people have to be looked at equally as any other human, as any other human being, until we have a balanced world. So and reggae is that's the main function I see reggae doing on the earth. So
I
it's
appreciate you
crucial.
for I appreciate you for sharing that, bro. Really. Let me ask you this: since you talked about that, um, a lot of people nowadays, right? A lot of people nowadays, the way they see music is different to how music was supposed to be saw years ago. And with reggae, right? Reggae, like we were talking about before, reggae is not just music. It moves the world, right? In different
Yeah.
places and different aspects. How how can we keep reggae alive? Because nowadays the world is getting more technical. There's a lot more social media. We're starting to get away from who we are as people, right? And reggae does not. Reggae and social media are kind of the opposite of each other.
Yeah, real talk.
So, how do you, how does reggae in today's world, how does it keep its meaning, and how do we keep reggae alive?
It's a good question. That's a good question to how you say it. I mean, the people making it, I feel like, need to stay in touch with the earth and with reality. You know, people, the reality of people on the earth, and even the earth itself. Right? Like not on some hippie thing like you're talking about, but on some vibrational, like real talk. Like people need to grow food. I'm talking about the people making this music, like involved in the music. Like we need to um, take care of our temples, eat well, try our best to prepare our own food, cook our own food, go to the sea, put your foot in the sea, climb to the top of a mountain. You know what I'm saying? Like get in touch with the earth that we're blessed with, because you know you're Jamaican. I mean, Jamaicans are very in touch with the earth and
Yes.
food and farming and the sea and fish and all these things. So it's like that's where it's coming from. So in a time where yeah, people are moving literally just on their phones and people aren't focused on the earth and even interacting with other human beings, I think those are, you know, the type of um, the type of behaviors or actions that can foster reggae music, you know, continue.
Yeah. And let me ask you this, because I live in Spain now, right?
Right.
I'm from the States. I'm from Connecticut, but I
I'm
live in
from Rhode
Spain now.
Island. I'm from Rhode
Huh?
Island.
Are you from Rhode Island?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay. Big up
Yeah.
New England. New England in the building.
Which part of Connecticut?
I'm from Bridgeport.
Ah, right there. You're right by New York.
I'm right by there. Yeah, I'm right there. Not too
Yeah.
far.
It's like New York, basically. Right?
It's just like New York. Yes, it is.
You're right there.
Let me ask you this. So, damn, I forgot what I was gonna say.
You were in Spain. You were saying you were in
Okay,
Spain.
okay, yeah, thank you. All right, so being in Spain, right? I've been able to listen to a lot of reggae because Spanish people love
I
reggae,
know. I
and you
know.
know what? I love them for that because they have put me on to reggae that I haven't even heard of. Right? You
Bro,
have
my drummer who plays for us exclusively is lives in Spain. He's from Spain. All of our
they.
drums get recorded in Spain, and one of our keyboardists also is from Spain. He lives in Jamaica, but he goes back and forth. So
Oh, okay,
Spain is
okay.
what part of Spain are you in?
I'm in Valladolid, which is 2 hours from Madrid, the capital.
Okay,
So
I've been there.
the people here, man, love they love and they respect the reggae culture.
Yeah.
And I remember my first time coming. I remember my first time getting in touch with some of the people that like reggae here, and like they were putting me onto some music I never heard of. They were like, "Oh, you know this artist, you know that artist," and I'm like, "Wow, I need to do my homework,
Yeah.
right? I need to do my homework." But I also found a sound that was different, and that's what I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah.
Dub, so reggae dub, right?
Yeah.
What is the difference between the origin of reggae compared to reggae dub? What is the difference? Because I've heard a lot of reggae dub here in Spain. What is the difference between reggae and reggae dub music?
I guess it depends because you know you're in Spain, so it depends on what you're defining reggae dub as. Because all right, you have this is 2025 now, and you have kind of a subgenre of reggae music that has emerged in, I don't really know exactly if it was in the last 10 years or what, maybe even longer. I think it's really stemming from Jah Shaka from England, right? And it's called reggae dub, and it's like a sound system type of culture where the music is played, which that's coming from original Jamaica sound system culture, but it's very prominent in Europe right now, a little bit in the UK as well, and it's like a steppers drum beat, and it's very computerized, and I don't know if that's what you're referring to or if you're just
Yes.
referring.
Yes.
That's what you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay. So you're asking how does it differ?
How does it differ? Yes.
I don't see any difference. It's just they're most of what reggae dub in that subgenre in 2025 is doing is they're taking one drum beat out of reggae music's playbook, which we have many, but they're taking one, which is called the steppers, which is the kick drum, boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom,
Yeah.
boom, right? They've taken that, and that's pretty much exclusively the drums that they choose to use on their productions. And then it's also um, very computerized in its playing. Like the bass is usually a keyboard bass. Most of it is computerized, more or like keyboard and digital more than instruments playing, which the era that you got into in the late 90s and them time that were also from Jamaica was also very digitized, um, but a little more varied. So like the difference, like I said, there's really no difference. They've just kind of zoned in on one section and kind of made it their own. It's also kind of related to EDM music slightly, I think.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
little bit of, and it's coming from that digitized sound. That's where it's kind of, it has, it's related a little to the EDM type of thing too. Slightly.
And as you see reggae music like evolving, how do you feel about now you're seeing people take mixes, they're putting mixes with techno, they're putting different type of mixes. What do you feel about that? Do you think it's a good thing for reggae music, or do you think it's taking away from the message of what reggae music is?
Um, I don't know if I fully understand the question you asked.
Yeah,
Say it again.
so oh yeah, no, don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah.
So my question is with with people mixing reggae music with different genres, right?
When you say that, meaning like, you don't have to give me an example, or you could just describe it. But I don't. Are you meaning like a reggae artist singing?
No, no, not not a
Okay,
reggae
sorry.
artist. Like you go to a club, right? You hear a reggae song, but then you hear a techno mix, or they did like a mixture, right? How do you feel about other genres blending in with reggae? Do you think that's taking a message away from what reggae music is, or do you feel like it is changing reggae for the better?
Based on what you've described, I don't think that really affects reggae music one way or the other. Is my thoughts because um, the message is really coming from who's singing and what they're saying. So people can sing positive messages on techno beats or hip hop beats or R&B beats, and it's still effective in terms of delivering a message. So I would only say that it moves further from the message of reggae music if there's something in it verbally, lyrically, that is derogatory in some way, that kind of goes against what you might call reggae music's I wouldn't say core values, but mission, like what reggae music's mission has been, I guess.
Has been, yeah. I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't.
Yeah,
I think some genres you can mix with, but when I hear like if I hear like a Stephen Marley or Damian Marley, and I hear like techno in the background, I think that kills it. I think there's some music genres you can mix with,
yeah.
but I think when it comes to reggae, I think you just gotta let it be. That's
I
why
know, I respect
people.
that opinion.
That's
Trust me, I
and
respect that opinion fully.
yeah, and I think that's why people fell in love with it in the beginning. It's the sound. It puts you in a
Yeah.
peaceful mind. Why would you want to mix that with something heavier? I listen. I've been to a club and I heard reggae and techno together. I was like, let me get out of here. This ain't it, man. This you don't put that together. You don't put that together. Let me ask you this. Um, what is what is your top 5 favorite reggae artists of all time?
Oh wow. Wow. Well, dang, that's such a hard question. Because there are so many different eras. I mean, not so many different eras, but there are a few different eras. And to be completely transparent, I love all reggae music, but my favorite reggae music is definitely from like 71, 72 to say 85.
Okay.
That's like within that era, that's wherein lies my favorite music from reggae. So to be honest, my top 5 would all be in that era probably. But that's kind of, I don't
It's
know, that's
difficult. It's a
narrow
difficult
minded.
question.
It's narrow minded because, but to me, there are so many great artists from today that I feel like should be in my top 5 or whatever. But I feel like I would have need 10 or so, like a top 10. Or, I don't know,
All right,
like
give
or
me
a
10.
5
Give
from
me 10.
back in the day and a 5 from now or something like that. I don't know.
Give me 10. Give me 10.
So we
You
do
you
5 from back in the day and 5 from now. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So back in the day, I'd say Bob Marley first.
Okay. You got you.
100%
You
Bob
have to.
Marley first. No matter how cliche anyone view it, is like Bob Marley is the king of reggae music for
No.
me.
Yeah.
Let me
And I
just keep it 100
personally
for me.
yeah. And I personally agree. There's no list without Bob Marley.
Yeah.
I think unfortunately I have to say it. I don't think reggae I don't think reggae touches other countries without him. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think he is what reggae needed, and I think he is the trendsetter. So
So, yo,
I would have to put him on there.
I listened to Bob Marley for years as a child before I knew what reggae was. Straight up. Like reggae music was not introduced to me. Bob Marley was introduced to me. And I became a fan of him before I even knew that there was a whole genre of music attached to him. Straight up. So like, yeah, Bob Marley. But so after Bob Marley, I would say like, let's see. And I don't think I'm someone who really play favorites that much. So this isn't like a well calculated list. Know that too. Because I could easily forget someone or whatever. But I'm going to try my best. So next, I would say Burning Spear.
Okay.
Right? Not in any particular order, but I would say Burning Spear. After Burning Spear, I would say Culture.
Culture. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just started. Yup. Culture is nice.
Yeah, so after Culture, really difficult. I'd probably say Dennis Brown. Just
Yep.
in terms of like his whole the everything he did. I wouldn't say I listened to him the most, but he's amazing. Like his voice and his catalog too. Like
Yeah.
between lovers and conscious tunes, he's just got it, and he's just was just amazing and very prolific.
Yeah. Big ups
So
Dennis Brown. Big ups
yeah,
Dennis
man,
Brown for real. Yeah.
Dennis Brown, bro. And then last one, that's what I'm saying. It's so hard, bro. It's so hard. I don't know. Maybe Steel Pulse.
Okay. That was interesting. Why
But
that?
it's
Why
a
him?
maybe because like I'm going back and forth between Israel Vibration and Steel Pulse when I'm thinking of this fifth slot. So, but I'd say Steel Pulse because they just represent something very progressive in roots reggae that really appealed and appeals to me still. Particularly their first, I think about 8 albums. They have like 8 albums that, in my opinion, are like start to finish, every track, amazing masterpieces for me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I like that. I like that list. One thing I'm a little surprised about is you don't got Peter Tosh on there, and you don't have Barris Hammond.
all right. Well, Peter Tosh, to me, Peter Tosh is as much, however it might sound, because I'm very aware and versed on his solo works. But to me, when I said Bob Marley, kind of in there too, and Bunny Wailer kind of in there too.
Oh, so you're gonna
That's
throw
the
the
Wailers,
Whalers?
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because if you
Yeah.
look at the whole of Bob Marley's catalog, Peter Tosh and Bonnie are in there. Like
Yeah.
they're singing, they've got their own lead songs that they sing lead on. So yeah, I kind of would have put them in there if that's fair. Although Bunny's solo career and Peter's solo career are some of my favorite, like one of my favorite reggae albums of all time is Bunny Wailer Blackheart, man. Like that album is crazy. Like the amount of times I've listened to that front and back is just ridiculous.
Would you say that was one of your that was one of the albums that really influenced you to continue to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. But I feel like I'm doing what I'm doing because I don't really know anything else. To be 100 with you, like I don't have a degree from college to where I have some far back career, and I wasn't even educated in music. I'm not an academic when it comes to music. You see what I'm saying? So like this is what I do the best. This is what comes the most naturally to I, and even reggae music specifically. And I don't know anything else. And I've never really been very ambitious with it either. It's like it's really the love for it that drives that. It's not like the ambition to like make a bag of money or get a bag of recognition. It's like if I have my studio at my yard, my gates here, and I mix, I produce, and I record bass and percussion and everything right here. And if I wake up and I'm not like doing something progressive towards creating more music or finishing something or whatever, I'm like my whole day is unfulfilled. Like I feel like I haven't lived.
Done
Like I
anything?
wasted a day. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's really more what drives me. Is just like the love, and like I said, I know it's a gift from the Most High, and I don't wanna abuse that or bury that or ignore that or don't explore it to as much potential as I can possibly do while I'm here on Earth. You know? So
Yeah,
I have
I,
nothing
I,
else.
I respect your humbleness, but you were definitely put on this earth to make music.
No, I know. No, I know that. No, I
Definitely,
know that. There's nothing. There's no doubt about that. I know
definitely
that
put on this earth to make
because
music.
I haven't even really. I haven't really worked that hard at it. As much as I have a lot of work out there, and I'm working every day and thing. But like, I still don't really feel like I've worked that hard to to be able to achieve the results that I hear coming out of the speakers when I'm done with things. Like I haven't gone to school, I haven't done any intense training with, and my brethren them will help me progress and advance, like in the engineering and the technical side of things. But like I don't feel like I've worked that much, so I know that this is what I'm put here to do because it comes to me like to where people like you want to link me to talk, do
The
an interview,
podcast, yeah,
and
man.
I'm trying to show you I ain't even worked that hard at this.
But listen, maybe
Come
okay.
naturally.
I understand the humbleness, man. Because as an artist, you feel like there's still a lot left, right?
A lot.
A lot left. You have so much in your bag, and I get that. But people like me, when we see you working, man, we're just like, yo, we gotta open his mind. We gotta understand where he's coming from,
Yeah.
right? I'm happy that you came on this podcast because people like you, man, like musical geniuses, man, it's you guys put out great knowledge to the world,
I think
and
you don't use that term too loosely,
all
loosely
right, all
around me.
right.
Musical genius,
All
bro.
right, all right, but
I don't
like,
know about
still, it's
real
it's
platform.
it's. I think for me, man, I love hearing about people's work, and I love hearing how they got there, the consistency, what they did to get to that point.
I
So
never stopped though. That's one thing I can tell you.
never,
Like
and
I
that's
stopped
good.
working at supermarkets and things when I was like 35. I'm 47 now. When I was 35, the music took me away from that. But up until that point, I was doing music full time, like the recording and touring and everything, but like a regular job. You know what I'm saying? Like a
Yeah,
40-hour a week job. So
yeah. And
I never stopped.
people that are listening, hold on. My brother said he started at 35. All right? There is
No, no, no,
no
no, no. I want to
age
interrupt you.
limit. There is no
No,
age
no,
limit.
no. Don't get that twisted. What I'm telling you is, I told you I started music as a child.
As a
I
child,
started
but
recording and putting out music at 21 was the first record that we put out. But what I'm telling you was I didn't depend on that for income. I've got children. I had to support my children, and I worked regular jobs and kept the music going. I
kept it
never
going.
stopped. I was always releasing music and recording music after I was done with my work. I'd come home and work more. You see what I'm saying? So it's the consistency, like you're saying. I've
Consistency.
never got inconsistent with it. When people would ask me, they see me, how they see me in 5 years, they see me, they ask me, yo, you still doing music?
Yeah,
And I'd be
people.
laughing at them like, what?
Yeah,
Still doing, what are you talking about? Still doing music? You don't see
still
me
doing me.
breathing?
Yeah.
You don't see me standing in front of you? You crazy? Like,
When people don't see what you're trying to put out, they'll question you for
yeah.
sure. They'll question you. They'll ask you, try to get you to throw you off your balance. That's what it is. Like, but that's how some people are. I want to say this. So you clear that up. All right. So people listening. All right. You got a dream. All right. And maybe right now is not the moment, but you see something going towards that dream, do not give up. All right?
Don't.
Do
It's
not
true.
give up.
Don't.
Don't give up. It is if you give up, you're giving up on yourself and people are going to give up on you. I
Yeah.
learned that. All
But
right?
don't follow someone else's dream neither.
Don't follow exactly. Don't be
Figure
somebody
out
else's story.
who you are and why you put here and what brings you the most joy. It might not be that glamorous. It might not be that glamorous,
Yeah.
but it's needed. You're needed. Whatever you're doing, it will make you feel good. The world needs that and needs more of that from you. So you have to find your purpose and stick to it. Don't let nobody throw you off of that or sway you from knowing what your purpose is.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into your music, man. Let's get into your music. All right, I got three songs that I really like. All right.
Just
Heart.
three?
Well, ones I've
I'm
been
playing with you.
bumping.
I'm playing with you.
Ones I've been currently bumping, like that been on the rotation. Heart Adub.
Okay.
Yeah, green. No, Mountain Remove Dub.
Oh, you had some dubs. You had some instrumental stuff.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
Ola Green Dub. I
Oh, the
like.
green dub.
Yeah, yeah, man. Especially what was it? Heart Adub.
Yeah.
Bro, when I listened to that last Wednesday. When I listened to that, that has been constantly in my rotation since
Mad.
Wednesday.
Mad.
Let me ask you this: when you are recording, when you're producing,
Yeah.
why do you put out the music you put out? Why do you create? Do you create to let people know what you are doing in that moment, or do you create uh or do you create from what you have learned before? Why do you create?
Good question. Like I told you before, I'm not a very ambitious somebody. Like, um, so I would say I create because creativity is constantly flowing through me. To be 100%. I don't know about other people. I think everyone is creative in their own right, and everyone has a stream of creativity that's flowing through them, and it's just for them to tap into it and use it for what it's supposed to be used for. Like I said, I mean, you may be um, a chief executive of some corporation, you may be a drummer, you may be a producer, you may be an artist, a visual artist, but everyone I feel like has creative um, that creativity running through them. So I would say I create because I learned a long time ago how where that flows within me and how to tap into it, and it comes very naturally. So it's just why, like you said, it's why I'm here to create. You know, even differently from just playing an instrument and learning to play it well. I've realized that my path here is definitely one of creativity, which I guess involves bringing music that has definitely been here before us, but maybe not in its exact form, to bring that to the world, to bring it to fruition, to finish it, complete it, and let it go out to the world. So because I've realized that that's why I'm here from so long ago, from probably 2002 or one or so is when I realized that. Um, I just keep doing it. I would say, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, I
Yeah.
told you, the message that ultimately ends up on most of my music when singers get involved is glorifying Rastafari, beating down oppression, all of these type of issues and even praise that I identify with. You see what I'm saying? So I guess in a sense I create music to then be blessed by an artist that will bring forth a message that is good for the world, for the people. So, you know, on a more meaningful level, I guess that is the root of what we're doing. But just on a nuts and bolts level, yeah, creativity and making music is just naturally what I do. It's what, it's just always, there's always music in my head. There's always like a little riff or a little something. It might be from someone else's song. It might not be my own, but there's always some music.
Okay.
Yeah.
And every artist remembers that first album they put out. When you put out your first album, how did that make you feel when you put out your first album, and where were you at during the time? And how does that kind of relate to you now? Like putting out that first album, like can you remember what was going on, what was going through your head? What was that experience like?
Yo, my first album was like, it was very awakening for me. We could do a whole podcast real time. Like if you were actually interested, we ain't going to, and I know you'd be. But if you were at any point, somebody ever was, yo, my first album, a lot of things went down in the process. Um, but the question you asked is, how did I feel when it was released? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a definitely a sense of accomplishment because of how long the journey was, how much money was spent. A lot of money was spent unnecessarily. You know, there was an investor involved who basically just,
Took your money.
no, it was the other way around, just gave us money.
Oh.
Someone just came out the blue, like Jah just sent him out the sky. He just came, was like, yo, I got money for you. What are you doing? I hear you do music. I played him a couple of things, a couple of ideas that my childhood brethren, Jah Oil, and I had. We had just recorded like 4 tracks at like, when I said tracks, I mean rhythm tracks. He plays guitar, I'm playing bass, and we hired Peter Tosh's old drummer in
Oh
LA,
wow. Okay.
Santa Davis, to come in, and the three of us just made like 4 rhythms. It was like bass, drums, and guitar alone, but we went to a one big studio, like very professional studio, and that's all we really had at the time to play this investor dude. He was like, yo, play me some things, and I played him the 4 rhythms, and he was just blown away. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. What's your vision for the album? And I told him, Yami Bolo. It was a Yami Bolo album. I said I'd like to voice Yami Bolo on some of these rhythms and create more. And he was like, how much money you need? And I was like, what do you need? And he was like, well, how is 10,000 to start? And I was like, cool. And I thought it was a loan. It ended up not being a loan. It ended up
Ooh,
being a
thank. That's
gift.
nice.
Yeah, it was crazy. To some millionaire dude. I was living in San Diego, California. It was just some millionaire guy.
Yeah.
I don't, maybe a billionaire. I don't really know, but he had money like to just give away. And brother man just gave me a bunch of money, like to deal with it. And so you know, I, I did it the right. I don't know. I'd say like the expensive, extravagant way. Like just
And did
extravagant.
you? And did you? Do you guys still have that relationship? Are you still in touch with him?
Not at
No.
all. We fell out. We fell out in the process, and I ended up still having to spend more of my own money that I ended up getting during the same period of time. And I ended up having to spend a bunch of that. So like the amount of money that was spent was ridiculous, but we were learning. You know what I'm saying? We were learning.
Yeah. So you started off. I want to guess you started off as solo, right? I'm guessing you started off solo.
What do you mean? The label, you mean,
Like
or what do you mean?
you were on your own at first. I'm guessing.
Um, no. Well, my label is. There's 3 of us,
There's
and
three.
and one of them is my elder Ross Elliott, who
Okay.
deals with like project coordination and these type of things. Like, and he been there from the beginning. He and I started the label together. And the same other brethren, Jah Oil, who I told you was in the studio with me and Peter Tosh,
Yeah.
Dr. Davis drummer. Um, so it was the three of us at first. Jah Oil ended up breaking out and not being a member, and then we brought in a third member, Kwashi, to deal with like business and accounting and those kind of things. So no, I was never alone,
Okay. Okay.
which
And
is
so
kind of good.
how did Zion Kings come about? Because I
Zion King,
seen,
yeah,
yeah, because I know a couple artists on there. Was his name Kaboka Pyramid?
Kabaka, yeah, yeah,
Kabaka Pyramid.
Protege. You know about Fuji, the album with
Woo!
Protege too.
Kabaka is he's not he's got some
Kabaka's
talent.
beast. He's crazy.
Capleton, obviously Capleton
Yeah,
is and then Glenn Washington.
yeah, man, that's my
Yeah,
brethren right there.
yeah.
My
So
uncle.
I know a few. How does it how working with these type of artists, collabing with them? What are some like memories you have working with them, and how did you become a part of Zion Kings?
All right, Zion Kings is myself, Andrew Moonbane, and Lauren Tippy I Alfred. It's the three of us, right?
Okay.
Um, Moon and I have known each other. We were the first to know one another. We met in at least my, I think it was my late, no, not my late teens. I was like 20 or so, 21 when the two, I think 21 when the two of us met. And we met in Providence, where I'm from.
Okay.
He was going to school at RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, because he's a graduate of RISD. And he actually just graduated. He's a little older than me. And I was there living in Providence, and we met both Rastafari youths, and there weren't too many of us in that area at the time, so it was nice. Um, so we linked up and started working, and he was working on a bunch of projects for his label. He had a label before I did. He and his partner Corin formed a label called Luster King, and Corin and Moon were going down to Jamaica, like recording rhythms and then going down to Jamaica and voicing artists. And this is in like 2001, 2000, 1999, like even, back them times. And a lot of those rhythms, Moon would have me play bass on. So Moon and I were making rhythms from those times, and working together, but we didn't have any formal, we weren't Zion I Kings then. It was just like we would work on music together all the time, but we weren't Zion I Kings. And then he linked with Tippy in New York. They were both living in Brooklyn, I believe. And that was in like 2005. Tippy had already had his label from St. Croix called iGray Records, and he had that. I think he started his label first before either Moon or I, and he had recorded some Midnight albums already. He had Nemozi and Rasta by Midnight was out. Asini was out when we all met. So I think the two of them met in Brooklyn in I think 2005 or so, and as a matter of fact, to be accurate, Tippy and I, before they met, I believe Tippy and I worked. I did an album, my second album, with an artist named Ross Attitude from St. Croix. And we worked on an entire album when I was living in Fort Lauderdale. And there was a song that Ross Attitude had previously recorded that he wanted on our album that I had nothing to do with, and it ended up being Tippy's production. So Tippy and me linked through that way back then, but not on any like real working level. And then he and Moon linked in flesh, and that was just over the phone them time. That wasn't even like we linked in the flesh. But then he and Moon linked in the flesh, I think in 2005. And Moon was like, yo, we all got a link and you need to meet Tippy for real and we need to do this and that. And Tippy was like, yo, y'all need to just come down to St. Croix and let's just work. And that's what we did. Moon and I flew down. That was 2006. We flew down. We spent like at least a week. It might have been 2 weeks in St. Croix. And Tippy had his studio, and we were just he had a drummer named T Rock, and Ake Becker, Vaughn Benjamin Midnight was in the mix coming by the studio, and we were just creating rhythms for like 2 weeks straight. When we were done, we had like 30 or 40 rhythms or something like that, something crazy. And through that, we just figured let's form a production collective. Let's just call this something. It's easier to have it all under one umbrella than trying to figure out
Yeah, have
what are the
different
songs.
parts. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we formed Zion I Kings, which is the name came from each one's respective labels. Zion High Productions is the name of my label. So Zion I Grade Records is Tippy's label, so that's where the I came in. And Kings is Luster Kings from Moon's label. So we just Zion I Kings.
Yeah, you pieced it up 3 ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's like 2006. And almost everything I've done since 2006, and likewise Tippy, likewise Moon, is when I say done, meaning like produced and released, has been under that umbrella of Zion I King. So we're working more closely now than ever, to be honest.
Yeah, it must feel good, man, to have a team, man.
It does.
I always tell people, and I've heard this from multiple people, man. Don't listen. We're humans. We need people. Don't start
Yo,
something alone. Don't start
trust me,
something
bro.
alone. Yeah,
Those are my brothers, man. I love them. Those are my brethren.
yeah,
We connect so well spiritually and intellectually. It's just it's so enriching, and it's really a situation of where one is weak and other one is strong, because between the three of I and I collectively, there's always someone who can shed light on a situation,
right.
or um, literally knows how to do something. Like, oh, I'm here in Pro Tools and my Pro Tools just crashed and it says blah blah blah, and one of the three of us will be like, oh, that happened to me. Just go to preferences and allow us to whatever, and it's done. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah,
like it's just been a blessing, bro. Like we send each other our mix. We all mix as well. We're all mixing engineers, all three of us, and we send our mixes to one another, and each of us like give our critiques. The bass is too loud, turn up the kick. The voice is too deep in the mix, it needs to come up or cut a frequency here. Or, you know what I'm saying? So like
yeah,
we're growing together. Like we all
yeah.
grow.
It's nice. It's nice
Yeah.
to be a team, man. It really is. Let me ask you this. So you have been in the game for a while now. All right.
Yeah.
What you have traveled, you have traveled, you have been to other places. Out of all the places you have traveled to, bringing your music to that place, what place gave you the best vibe? Playing there, you felt the vibe, you felt the energy of the people. What place gave you the best vibe?
That's a cool question. That's a cool question. You know what I just say? Like, all right, I felt the greatest playing in Jamaica. Okay, it was like what a sense of accomplishment to not be born into this culture, but to be of this culture and be in the birthplace of this music as a foreigner performing for the community. It was that was very enriching for me. You know, even on like a big stage, like I played Reggae Sumfest. So that was big for me. like a full circle type of situation.
How was hold on? How was Reggae Sunfest? That's a blessing. How was that? How was playing for Reggae Sunfest?
Yeah. Well, all right. To be honest, enough respect to Reggae Sumfest and its organizers and promoters and whatever, whoever. But on the real, it was like I said, a sense of accomplishment, but it was very nerve-wracking in terms of the logistics, I would say, right? And when I say that, this is what I mean. I don't know how many acts were performing the night that we performed. I was performing with Jah David, right? Who I toured with for like 4 years all over. And she's, if you're not familiar, she's a prominent Jamaican reggae artist based in Jamaica. So, and the band was based in Jamaica, except for me. So I don't know how many acts were performing that night, but we were told that we had 20 minutes in between acts, meaning the act before us finishes, and then it's 20 minutes between the time when they're done and when we're actually performing, right? But at that time, our drummer, we were running backing tracks, yeah? Like, we played live, but we played to a metronome, to a click track, and our drummer had a drum machine that would trigger like overdubs, horns, because at that time we were actually a 3-piece band and the singer Janai. There was 3 of us: keyboardist, bass, and drummer. So we needed more music. You see what I'm saying? We actually a lie. We had a guitarist, but he wasn't part of the band. We brought him in for that show. We had a guitarist for that show, but we were still running backing tracks that had like backing vocals, horns, whatever. So I'm telling you this to let you know that like those type of setup take a minute to organize and get in order before you perform a show, right? Like drummer has a million things to do, that kind. So basically, we got backstage and we were trying to get onto the stage. I think it was the act. No, the act before us was on stage. We were trying to get on the stage to kind of sort out what gear we were going to use and that kind of thing. And they didn't let us on the stage. Their rule was like, you, even as the next act, you cannot come onto the stage. And I'm talking backstage. I'm not talking on the stage. I'm talking backstage, behind the curtain, right?
Yeah.
You can't come out. So like normally in a scenario like this, because we played plenty of festivals where there's no, you have like a little 30 minutes or whatever it might be. But you can kind of get ready before you actually go on the stage. Like for instance, I can tune my bass because I'm there on the side of the stage. I take my bass out my case, I can tune it up so that when it come time to like, all right, another, like the drum, a lot of these festivals will have a drum set backstage on a riser that's for us. So like my drummer could be back there tuning up his drums and setting up his drum machine and all these things so that when the set ends from the act before us, they just slide those drums that are on stage off the stage and slide in our drums that are already tuned up and mic'd. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they ain't had that. So, and they wouldn't let us on the stage. So when we finally got on the stage was when the other act ended. And we had 20 minutes from that minute until the show started. So like, I just remember being on the stage and them run all the stage techs running all over the place trying to set up this and set up that, and it was like I felt like I just got done tuning my bass, and I'm like, I have the least to set up. My thing is like tune up my bass, look at my bass amp, check it out, see what it sounds like, maybe turn down the treble, turn up the bass or something, maybe
Yeah.
turn it up a little, and I'm ready. But keyboardist, he got his computer, all his sounds are coming from his computer. He got to boot up his computer. He got like 4 different keyboards all over. You see what I'm saying? It's like
He
a
has a
whole
lot to
other
work with.
beast. He
Yeah.
got effects pedals and all this type of stuff. And I just remember them, like the stage techs looking at me like, yo, bass, you ready? Bass, you ready? And I remember looking back at my other 2 band members, and they like scrambling, like they got duct tape, and drummer got duct tape in his mouth, tearing taping up his drum still. The keyboardist is like
Ooh. Yeah.
plugging in
Yeah.
wires and all kind of things. And the man like, yo, you ready? You ready? I'm like, no, man, we're not ready. And before I know it, here come the MC. Kingston, Jamaica, you ready for John Hine and the Dog Treatment and Ray? And we're playing. And like the last minute, last thing I remember was a man asking me, you ready? And I'm looking back and no one I
They're
came with
not
was ready.
ready.
Except for me. I was ready, man. I was ready. But
Yeah.
no one else was ready. And that's how the thing went. So we just some kind of way got it together and started playing. But we were not ready. And they were,
Was
but we
was
weren't ready.
that your only was that how many times did you perform in Jamaica?
No, I had already performed in Jamaica probably 4 or 5 times.
4 or 5 times.
Yeah, by
Okay.
that time, I performed Jamaica quite a few times because of this artist that I played for, Janine. You know,
Yeah.
she like I said, we were based. Everyone was based in Jamaica besides me, and I live in Florida. So they would just fly me in for rehearsal. We would rehearse down there. If she got shows in Jamaica, she would just have to fly me in because the band was
Yeah.
already there, and she would fly me in, and we would work. So no, I played a fair amount of shows already. You know,
Can you remember the first reaction you got when you were playing in Jamaica? How they reacted to your music.
well, you have to remember, like I said, John Nine is and was for a while now a prominent artist in Jamaica. So the people we were performing, I think the first show I did was Wiki Wacky, which is Rage and Fire Kumar's festival from Rage and Fire, um, right outside of Kingston on the beach. Um, the audience that was there was like, they all like Janai. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not saying they didn't come to see her necessarily, but some of them may have. So like, they reacted well, is what I'm getting to, because they already were oriented with her music and liked her and all of this. So like, yeah, it was a blessing and got a good reaction for sure. But to answer the question, you said who had the best vibe of all the places I did, right?
Yeah. Who has the best vibe?
Yeah, to be honest, it's 2 places that really stick out to me. First, I'm gonna say London.
Okay. London has a big.
London.
Yeah, okay. Why?
Just I don't know how they are. I don't really know. I can't give you a reason why. I mean, the first show I ever played in London. No, was it? Yeah, I think it was. I think it's the first show I ever played in London was with John Nine as well, right? I think, if I can remember correctly, and it was sold out. It was at a club with like 1,000 capacity type of club, and there was no one on the bill but us, right? And it sold out, and that was the first, like, 1,000 or so capacity crowd that I had ever been involved in, as a sold out show. That was the first for me. But the crowd was crazy responsive, So like the fact that it was sold out, is definitely related to how the people reacted. Like they love music, they go out and support music when they like it, especially when it's from Jamaica or from foreign places.
True.
And they love it, and they're very appreciative of the music when you're playing. Like they give it up. They be yelling and dancing and screaming, and it's like, you know. So yeah, yeah, London. And you know, to be honest, man, I name one other place because it really stood out to me, and it's kind of out the ordinary. But Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay, that that surprised me. That surprised me.
Bro, them people in Cincinnati, Ohio, I don't know if it's just reggae. I don't really know what it is, but they got vibes, yo. Them people, like, they want to see music. They want, like, at least if it's within what they like, they give it up, bro. Like, Cincinnati is a wild place. Like, them people, they're wild about it, you know? So,
Wow.
Cincinnati stuck out as well.
And you would never think the middle of America,
That's
Midwestern
why
Cincinnati.
it's worth mentioning, because it's
Yeah.
kind of unlikely, you know. But it's interesting. I was watching a podcast. I believe it was the other day. MC Cert from Third Base
MC Surge.
and
Wow.
Big Daddy
Okay.
Kane. He was
Yeah. Yeah.
interviewing Big Daddy Kane, and he some kind of way the same question was asked, or like real similar. Like Search asked Kane, like something along the lines of what cities really stuck out to you as. I think he was actually talking about like um cities where they really appreciate like their lyrics, and cities where like they just want to hear the little hit song, like,
Yeah. The little
you know,
noise.
like Kane was based. I don't know how familiar you are with like Big Daddy Kane.
Oh, I'm a
Like
I'm a big
so
fan.
he
Big
so he
fan.
was saying like the distinction what he was making was like the audiences that wanted to hear raw, RAW, and audiences that just wanted to hear like half stepping.
Ain't no half stepping. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
saying, so it was like, and Cincinnati ended up being on a RAW list. Like they was deep. They wanted to hear, and they got into talking about Cincinnati and how Cincinnati people like different, they're wild, and they really give it up. And as I was watching, I was like, that's so true, because I remember Cincinnati, like, and people were just, they were just warm. You know, what a great reception.
Yeah.
Straight up. Yeah.
Did a fan ever come up to you and tell you how much they appreciate your music?
Yeah, bro.
And what
Too many times.
and
I
how
can't lie to you, bro. Too many times to where
and
like,
what was
and
that feeling
I'm not
like, man?
saying
Because
it.
I know that's touching. I know that hits
It's
home.
touching, but it's like, whoa. After a while, it's like I don't know how to explain it, man. It's like it's almost too humbling. Like I don't know how to explain. Like at first, you're like, wow, somebody really said that, and then you're like, oh, thank you, and but after a while, you're like, man, stop talking about me, man. It ain't all that. Like I ain't all that. Like, real
Yeah.
talk, that's how I generally like. They got it, it gets to that point. I don't perform much anymore, but like when I used to be out there on the road touring, yeah, and you come up the stage, it's like that's what it is, bro. Like to be honest, like people who are genuinely just touched by the music, and they want to express that to the people who just deliver this music. You see what I'm saying? And it's a
Yeah.
totally genuine, it's a beautiful thing. But for a man like me, like I'm saying, it got to where like I appreciate it, don't get me wrong, but I'm okay not hearing it again. You understand, if that makes
Yeah.
sense?
No,
Like I
I
don't
totally
need
understand.
that. Like I don't need no one to come up to me after. So I'm the one who's like trying to get to the dressing room and put my bass away and make sure like I didn't forget anything on stage, and everything's, all my belongings are secure, and That's where my head is. That's the type of dude I am. Like real talk.
Yeah, no,
Like get off the stage, avoid the people. I ain't trying to mix up with no woman to get no number, and I'm married happily. I ain't. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah,
like,
you trying to get up out of there. Yeah, I understand that.
yeah, I'm just kind of like that.
We talked a little bit about consistency before, but I wanted to bring it back up, man, because somebody that's been consistent with their craft for years. You said you've been doing this since 2000 and 2000, even before that. So someone to be consistent, how were you able to be consistent when you had to go through the toughest times in your life? How were you able to be consistent with your music?
Well, I guess at that in those toughest times, it's therapy. Do you see what I'm saying? 'Cause music is like everything to me. Like I'm telling you. So like in the toughest times, it works as therapy. The whole creative process, the whole getting like engulfed in a particular project, music, a song, whatever it is, a bass line I'm playing or whatever. It's like it's mad therapeutic, you know. I mean, maybe it's a form of avoidance too. You know what I'm saying? Because you basically it's like you preoccupying your mind so you don't have to be thinking about something else that is difficult to deal with or think about or whatever. So I guess that it can be a form of avoidance, but yeah, music in those toughest times is definitely therapeutic, you know, especially as a listener. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah,
just music, not even my own music, but just music itself as a listener, like it's a healing. It's a healing.
yeah. Do you ever listen to your own music? Does your music heal you?
Um, I would say that like other people's music definitely touches me in a dramatic way, like in a memorable dramatic way, more than my own music does, for sure. Um, but that being said, I mean, I've had amazing moments while creating or even listening to our own music, for sure. And, you know, do I listen to my music? After it's done, not too much, to be 100%, because like I spend so much time working on it to get it and listening, the amount of times you have to listen to a song. Remember, I mix too. So I'm not only just involved in the creation of the
Your producer.
musical part.
Yeah.
I'm over here editing waveforms and mixing stuff down, and you listen to this. So by the time it's done, it's like 200, 300, 400 times. You know what I mean? 500 times, and
Yeah.
then it goes into the mastering stage, and then you're referencing the master to see if it is whatever you want to hear and raise. So by the time it's done, no man, I'm sick of it. To be 100,
Yeah, it's stressful. I can imagine probably listening to it.
well, I I work hard on it to where most of what I do, by the time it is released, at least within the last 15 years, well, 10, call it 10, I can listen it back with a free heart and mind.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't like,
Yeah.
I'm not one of them people who are like, it's not good enough. It's never good enough. It will never be good enough. Like, no, that's not me. I understand that whatever we're bringing at any specific time, if I'm in within that time, everyone involved is like, yeah, it's a go. Everything's sounding right and it feels right. I I said put it out, and I'm fine with that. And it just represents that time where we were at that time. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I knew at the beginning when I first heard the music being played back from like our first recording sessions, like I'm telling you, with Peter Tosh's drummer, Santa Davis, and my Virgin Jah Oil, I already was like, yo, that's what we sound like. Like that's what when we go in a big studio, it's just he, I, and the drummer. That's what we sound like. Like, 'cause I've been listening to music my whole life, like an aggressive listener of music, and I felt like I know what good music feels like, it sounds like, and I heard it play back, and I was like, this is good. Like this is actually good. Wow. So you know, it's progressed. It's still growing. We're getting better. But like from that point, I already knew somebody out there would like this
Yeah.
as I do. It's good enough,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Let me ask you. I wanted to ask you another thing before we get out of here. I want to ask you two more things before we get out of here.
All right.
I wanted to ask you this one thing because you are a producer. Give me your top three best producers. You, your most. What are the top three greatest producers of all time? I can tell you
Period.
my three.
All genres, yeah.
All genres. I can tell you my three. Right, and I'm not people. I love hip hop. Hip hop's my favorite genre.
You want
So
me to
all
go
three are
first,
hip
or
hop.
you want to
I
go
go
first?
first. I go first. All three are hip hop for me. Dre, Timbaland. Actually, I'm gonna do one not hip
Oh
hop.
wait, so we doing
Dre,
different genres, or you doing
Timbaland,
only? Because
and
you
Quincy
naming all
Jones.
hip hop, you saying that these are the best of all time for you?
These
Period.
are these to me.
Period.
These are the greatest producers of all time.
Throughout
Timbaland.
R&B, reggae music, pop music. Period. That's what
Yeah,
you.
but I'm biased because I only know more about hip hop and soul music. So I'm gonna
That's
go.
fair.
I'm gonna go Timbaland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Timbaland. I'm gonna go. I said Timbaland. I said Dr. Dre, and I'm gonna say Quincy Jones. R.I.P. Quincy Jones.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, definitely Quincy Jones will be on my list. 100%. Quincy Jones. 100%. Um, After Quincy Jones, I'd have to say Coxsone Dodd, which is Studio One, the Studio One producer. Right? That's because that's like the birth of reggae. Everything kind of came out of him, out of his studio. So I could never deny him. Um, but that's interesting because I feel like if I'm choosing three, the third one for me should be someone in hip hop too, because I grew up on hip hop. And that kind of, that number three kind of would summarize, yeah, my musical experience a bit. So that's really difficult for me.
Yeah, hip hop is
Hip hop.
difficult.
Yeah, like, I couldn't choose Dre, I'm gonna be honest. And it's just because as much I rate him, don't get me wrong, I rate him, right? But like, I grew up on New York hip hop.
Yeah,
Like,
we
he's
from the
from
East Coast.
Connecticut. I'm from Rhode
Yeah,
Island, but I grew
from
up
the East.
in like the '80s, bro. You
Yeah,
understand? So like, I grew up with hip hop. Like, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, like whatever. I could name some. Gangstar and
TJ Premier.
EPMD and
Yeah,
Eric B. and Rakim and um, leaders of the new school and a
leaders of
tribe
new
called Quest
school.
De La Soul. I grew up on. When I say I grew up on that music, I mean like I was going to the music store with any little money I could scrape up at 11 years old, 10 years old to buy the cassettes. Like I was into that. So because of that, and NWA and Dre were even kind of part of that, to be 100. Like, because
Yeah,
by 87, 86 or whatever, I don't know exactly when they started making records, but
yeah. Around '87, I think. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But to be honest, I even skipped over. Like, I used to break dance, bro. I was into Sugar Hill Gang. I had like Sugar Hill Gang tapes, cassette tapes with like white cassette tape with blue writing, like the original Sugar Hill Gangs. Like I bought them, I had them. So like,
Damn
you know,
respect.
Grandmaster Flash, yeah, like Houdini, that stuff. Like
Houdini, yes.
and
Treacherous
I
3.
grew up on it when it was coming out, real
Yeah.
talk. Like, cause I was listening to hip hop when I was like 7. You know what I'm saying? 6, 7, not maybe not 5, but like 8.
Yeah, young. You started young.
Because I just been in the music so much for as just forever. So once I started getting into it, I'm like, I gotta know everything, hear
Yeah.
everything, you know. So wow, I don't know. I would say as a producer, man, I don't know enough about like what them producers really did in hip hop. Meaning, obviously, like we know what Timbaland do. Like you name Timbaland. Who else you name?
I named for hip hop. I made Timberland and Dre, but
And
I'm
Dre.
starting
All
to.
right.
I'm
So we know
starting.
what Dre. We know Dre.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Dre's top of the list for me still, but I
he
can't
is.
name him just because of what I'm telling you about. Politically, it's not really political, but it's genuine. Like New York golden era hip hop is that's my stuff. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I said, it wasn't NWA wasn't that far from that. Even though it was all the way across the country and it's East Coast, West Coast, it it all like it was still golden era hip hop, right?
Yeah.
But I would have to say like probably Premier, to be honest.
DJ Premier. Okay,
To be
I give you
100,
that
like, and
one.
I mean that meaning when I hear DJ Premier's beats, and that's why I'm saying I don't know exactly like, because you know producing like Quincy Jones producing, like he would play music and he would be involved in the compositions and thing, but he was also one of his greatest skills was like coaching the artist, the singer, like helping
Yeah.
them melodically, helping them realize their greatness on the microphone. Like that was part of his function, a major part of his function. Like I don't really know how much of that was really going on in hip hop from a producer standpoint. And I'm just ignorant. I ain't saying it wasn't. I'm saying I don't know. I
Right.
just know of producers from like the beats they made, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when it comes to hip hop, that's where my ratings are coming from the beats that I like the most. So I would say Premier in that I like
Premier.
Premier's beats more than Dre. Even though Dre beats are mad, they got that G funk and that whole Parliament thing. I love Dre, don't get me wrong, yo. Chronic was mad,
The
NWA,
Chronic
all
Dog
that.
Pound.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Premier to me, like, I don't know, man. Anytime, all his beats are wicked.
Yeah, no. DJ Premier was the real deal. DJ Premier was the real deal.
To this day, he's bad to this day.
He was the real deal. He was the real deal. Some of his songs, his collaborations, especially with Guru from Gangstar, but
Not as good.
his collaborations outside of Gangstar have all been fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
he's a
I
genius.
think he
He's a
did
genius.
most of the Black Star album.
He did most of the Black Star album with Mos Def and Talib Kweli.
That might have
Yeah,
been, didn't High Tech do some of that too, I think?
High Tech did a little bit of that too. Yeah,
But
yeah.
Premier was on it, right?
Premier was most of it. Yes. Yeah. And Just Blaze. I think Just Blaze did a little bit too. I think so. Yeah. Shout out to Just Blaze as well. I don't think he's on this list just because he had his gap from like 2000 to 2005. I think Premier, people like Quincy Jones, Dre, they've been doing it for 30 years plus.
Great.
So I respect you putting Premier on there. All right, here's the last thing I want to talk about before I let you go, brother. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man. You
You're
said 45 minutes.
45. I lied to you. My bad, man.
You said you're going to be able to put all this out?
Huh?
There ain't no limit on it? You're going to be able to
No, there's no limit. There's no limit. I wanted to ask you this, man. You're a Rasta. You're a Rastafarian. You talk about how that has helped you as a person, how it has helped you grow. How do you think the meaning of being a Rasta can relate to what's going on today, because I feel like now times are changing. There's a lot more exposure to the world. There's a lot of things that we are moving away from when it comes to being human, right? To being yourself. We're moving a lot away from that. We're losing our identity as people.
Yeah.
So how can that meaning of being a Rasta impact nowadays? How can that meaning be impactful nowadays into this today's society?
Well, that's a very big question, to be 100, right? Because, you know, Rasta, being a Rastafari is like very multifaceted. You know, you have people, meaning people associate Rastafari people with like, natural living, vegetarianism, oftentimes what we call ital, um, upliftment of all people, but especially the black people of the earth, right? Of African descent. Um, so those are like just some of the things that we're known for, right? As like how we live, what we call our liberty, how we live on a daily basis, how we eat, how we relate to each other and our families, um, and how we relate to the system in Babylon. Like we're against that, And when I say that, I mean like systems that oppress mass numbers of people. Like that's what I'm speaking of, right? So that's all of that to me is always valuable to any society, like to because it's always relevant. Like you're always gonna have to take care of yourself and make sure you look after your structure, meaning eating well, trying to meditate on good things, positive things, right? That's always applicable in any time, now or any time. Um, Uplifting people who have been oppressed for no good reason at all is always going to be needed on earth. Well, prayerfully, hopefully it won't be, because hopefully one day it won't be like that. There won't be first and second class citizens. You see what I'm saying? That's what we're working towards. So that's what I'm saying. So like all of these philosophies what we have as Rastafari are always going to be applicable because they're for the good of both your own self and the world outside of you. So yeah, I don't remember what else I said. I'm trying to kind of summarize, but then differently, Rastafari. I don't know how some people view, right, but Rastafari is God to I. And I mean, this is when I say I, is not me alone either, because I am a Rastafari. I was brought up in the tradition and in the faith. I was like, found myself in the hands of elders and was reared in the faith. So like that that's God. That's the Most High. That's Jah. And that's the driving force as a Rastafari for me is Rastafari, who I pray to as God. So it's like as Jah. So that aspect, the spiritual aspect, the prayer aspect of being a Rastafari for I is as it would be for anyone who believes or has faith in the Most High through whatever spectacles that if it's Jesus they pray into, if it's Allah they pray into, if it's the God of Israel that they pray into, whoever it might be, that spiritual aspect is the same. It's like He created us. We couldn't have done it ourselves, so we're forever um, thankful and reverent of the Creator, the Most High. So it's like that's always going to be applicable to a set of people. There's also a set of people on Earth who seem like from ever since, and probably will always be, who don't have faith in a creator or whatever, and they will always be here too, and do what they do. But for the people who have faith in a creator, yeah, that's always applicable. You know what I mean? Like you have a hard time and you're looking for some strength, and you go to your creator and you pray and you ask for strength or help or whatever it is. However the spiritual people of the world relate to their creator, is always relevant. It's always needed. So yeah, it's just natural to me. Rastafari liberty is just natural, and it's always needed because it's positive.
I appreciate you for sharing that. Let me ask you this will blend on this. What would you say to a person that is trying to find their self? They want to get into Rastafarian. They want to be a Rasta, but they don't know how to. What would you say to somebody that's trying to find themselves and just don't know how to?
That's interesting too. I don't know if I would see myself as an authority on that particular. Meaning, like, I can say, go read speeches, because, like I told you, His Majesty, I pray to His Majesty. So I could say, go read speeches, because, His Majesty is a man of our time. Like, there's volumes and volumes of speeches of his
Yeah.
that are his words spoken. And it's all relevant, it's all beautiful words from the Most High. It's part of our philosophy. His words are part of um, our what we do. As Rasta, we read His word. You see what I'm saying? So I could always recommend go read the word of Haile Selassie the First. But faith is an interesting something. Like, my faith in Him is what is my driving force in life, and I don't know how to direct someone towards developing their own faith. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really about choosing your path, choosing what spectacles or what path you want to pursue. If you really want to pursue the Creator, the Most High, it's just what path you choose. There's plenty of paths. You create your own. You can do anything you want. There's one Creator. You see what I'm saying? Call Him whatever you want to call Him. But yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't know what to tell someone. Like what specifically. Like, go read this, Revelation 5 from the Bible, and then everything. Then you're a Rastafari. It's like, it don't really. It could work, but it could work like that too. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It ain't the same for everyone. I don't know. I don't know what to tell anyone. I just know, and I'm thankful and give thanks that I have come to know Jah, myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you for sharing that. Well, yo, I appreciate you for coming on the show, man.
Same way.
Jah David, big up yourself one time, man.
Same way. Appreciate you.
Guys, go check him out. YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. My man, he is on platforms. Y'all want to listen to reggae, good reggae music, good sounds, good vibes. Jah David, man. Go check him out. I will have all of his information on the episode, so y'all can go follow him and check him out. All right? Peace and love, guys. Much love and respect. Jah David, big up yourself, man. This is just a Thought podcast. We are out. Jah David, one love, man.
Check, love, bless.
Peace and love, man.
Every time, give thanks.
Yes, Irie, man. One love.